So far this MLB offseason has been pretty interesting, and so I'm here to talk about it and go over every sort of key move that has happened so far, or every move that I think should be talked about further. And so here we go. First, we have Justin Upton signing a 5-year $106 million extension with the Angels. He's a nice fit in Angel Stadium, and he did pretty well with the Angels, and he was their second best hitter. And the contract extends to around the end of his prime, and the money gets larger towards the end of it. Like, his final year is $28 million, but you know, it extends to around the end of his prime until he's like 35. So I will give this a B- grade. And staying in Anaheim, we have Shohei Ohtani signing a contract with the Angels. I'm not sure about the fit yet, so I don't necessarily have a grade for this. But when it comes to the next one, we have the Angels still trading scraps for Jim Johnson. He's a ground ball pitcher in a power-oriented park, so that should help out with his production at least. He struggles against left-handers, so that could also backfire on them a little bit, but he's an expiring contract, so low risk right there. I give this grade a B for the Braves and a B for the Angels, considering that, I mean, the Braves, I'm pretty sure they didn't have much plans for him, considering that he didn't have that good of a season for them last year at all. And for the Angels, I mean, like I said, it's a low risk sort of thing. And so that'll do it. But staying in the AL West, we have the A's trading Ryan Healy to the Seattle Mariners for Emilio Pagan and Alexander Campos. And so I touched over this trade, at least on the A's side of it, and I will reiterate that here. Ryan Healy had to be traded. He was the odd man out between Matt Olson, Chris Davis, and him. So he was the odd man out right there, and he had to be traded to a division rival. I mean, as an A's fan, this just makes me scared of the Mariners, especially what they did after this, which we'll get to that. But when it comes to Ryan Healy's fit, the Mariners lineup is now stacked, and he does fit Safeco since they have guys that can hit for power in there successfully, and you have guys like Nelson Cruz, and just, I mean, this provides more protection for them, and he's probably going to be protected completely now with all the hitters that they have. And like I said, we'll get to what else they have later on. And Emilio Pagan and Alexander Campos are both pretty good prospects. I think Emilio Pagan is going to be very good for the A's in the bullpen later on down the line. So for the A's, I give it a B grade, and for the Mariners, I give it a B+, since you upgrade over Yonder Alonso and Danny Valencia platooning. So there is that. Also, he's pretty young. He doesn't get on base or get a ton of hits, but he will hit a lot of home runs. He hit 25 home runs. And so next, we stay with the Mariners here, as they ended up trading a bunch of average at best prospects for bonus money to get Ohtani, and they proceeded to not get Shohei Ohtani. So for right now, it's a C- grade, but if those players turn out to be something, then this grade will be lower. But for now, I give it a C-. And so then, still with the Mariners, they ended up trading for Dee Gordon of the Miami Marlins and international bonus money for a few prospects. And Dee Gordon will be moving over to center field from second base. He's got the range. I mean, that's for sure that he's got the range because he's really fast. But we shall see how his fielding goes, because there's not much with range if you can't use it properly. And so Gordon is a spray hitter. He will need to go to left field mainly to get extra base hits just because of Safeco Field, but I think he will be successful. And he does get hits, doesn't draw that many walks. And I mean, the Marlins basically gave him away for dimes on the dollar. So Dee Gordon leading off in the Mariners lineup should be interesting. And so this trade for the Marlins gets a C+, and for the Mariners it gets a B+. And so now we stay in the AL West and go back to the A's, trading Jacob Brugman for basically nothing, giving up a fourth outfielder for basically nothing. So I give this a C- for the A's, considering that he could have been a young piece to keep on the roster, and chemistry has been something that Billy Beane has continued to not understand. And I guess you can throw David Force in that category now. Still with the A's, we have Miro Petit signing a 3-year $15.5 million contract with a club option in year 3. And so he's a fly ball pitcher in a non-home run hitting park. He does struggle against lefties in a ballpark that does favor lefties, but I do think that he will still be a pretty good guy out of the bullpen. I think that ERA below 3 last year that he had with the Angels will go up, but I still find him to be a nice fit in the O.Co Coliseum, and as an A's fan, I think this is a solid signing, so I'll give it a B- grade. You know, decent signing, I guess, considering that it's not that much money to give up. And so now, still in the AL West, we have the Texas Rangers signing Doug Fister to a 2-year, $8 million contract with a final year club option. And so yeah, I mean, he's slightly more of a fly ball pitcher than a ground ball pitcher, going from one offensive park to another. And when it comes to the Rangers, their rotation wasn't very good, so this is a solid signing. We'll see if Doug Fister will go back to being 2014 Doug Fister. I doubt it, but if he does, then this will be higher than a grade C, but for right now, I give it a grade C. And so now, still with the Rangers, we have Mike Minor signing a 3-year, $28 million contract with the Rangers. And yeah, I mean, he's a strikeout and ground ball pitcher. His stuff will probably continue to make him successful in an offensive park since he generates a lot of strikeouts. But I mean, the Rangers signed him because they could use another bullpen arm. According to rosterresource.com, he's going to be in the rotation, but he does better in the bullpen, or at least he did better in the bullpen. I would give this signing a B because it was a good signing and he revitalized himself last season for the Royals. And so next we have, going over to the AL Central, speaking of the Royals, they picked up Willie Peralta. He signed a 2-year, $4.5 million contract with a 2nd-year club option. And so yeah, this is basically a low-risk sort of signing. He's a ground ball pitcher in a park that generates ground ball hits, so the fit isn't great. And he wasn't good at all last season before getting injured, so I give this a C because the contract isn't bad, but he's not very good. And so now we go on to another AL Central team in the Chicago White Sox, signing a 3-year, $23 million contract. Sure, Wellington Castillo signed that contract per se, and he has a 3rd-year club option. And so yeah, he was good in Baltimore last year, but now he's going to have less lineup protection. But the White Sox could use some veteran leadership and consistency at catcher. He will be a good defensive catcher. They didn't have that many problems defensively. I mean, I guess over Keevan Smith, it would be an upgrade defensively. So I give this a B+ grade for the White Sox. And when it comes to the Tigers, another AL Central team, we have them signing Mike Fiers to a 1-year, $6 million contract. He's had back-to-back disappointing seasons after his pretty good 2015 season. Probably won't be much better, but they didn't give up a lot of money. This is basically a 1-year prove-it deal for Mike Fiers, and so I give this a C grade. If he does well, then it'll be higher, but for right now, it's a C grade. And so now in the NL, we have the Arizona Diamondbacks trading Curtis Taylor to the Rays for Brad Boxberger. Brad Boxberger has good stuff, but he will probably have his production go down due to Chase Field. And I mean, this does provide needed bullpen help. However, he won't be the closer that they need because he isn't really a closer. I mean, he might turn into one, but for right now, he's not a closer. He's more of a middle reliever type of guy. So we'll see how that turns out for the Diamondbacks. But this is a pretty good trade because you didn't give up much for him. And so I give this a B-. And so now, staying in the NL West, we have the Rockies signing Chris Iannetta to a 2-year, $8.5 million contract. He had a resurgent season last season as a platooner, but he is a downgrade from Jonathan Lucroy. So I will give this a B- grade considering that he's less expensive and you can play Tony Walters, but still. And so then we have in the NL Central, the St. Louis Cardinals trading Aledmys Diaz to the Blue Jays for J.B. Woodman. And yeah, Aledmys Diaz fell off a bit from his rookie season. He was injured for some time last season, but he didn't do as good as he did in his rookie season. And so yeah, I mean, for the Blue Jays, he will provide some depth at the very least, and they'll be forced to choose later on down the line between him and Devin Travis. At least that's what I see happening. Aledmys Diaz can play shortstop, but they have Tulo at shortstop. So for the Cardinals, I give this a B- grade because he was the odd man out between their infielders like Paul DeJong, who came on the scene last year, and Colton Wong. So the Cardinals, I give this a B-, and for the Blue Jays, I give it a C+, because I'm going to have to see how this works out. And so now staying in the NL Central, the Cardinals' rivals, the Chicago Cubs, picking up Tyler Chatwood to a 3-year, $38 million contract. And yeah, this just points to me seeing them letting Jake Arrieta walk, considering that they'll get a draft pick from him because he declined their qualifying offer. And so yeah, he has better stuff, Tyler Chatwood does, and he was better out of the pen last season compared to being in the rotation, so that should be interesting. But he was worse against lefties, and in Wrigley Field, lefties do worse. They do worse compared to right-handers, or at least going to right field, it's harder. And so yeah, I mean, he may have a better season with the Cubs, considering that it's less offense-oriented compared to Coors Field, but he's still going to have to produce, and that ERA is going to have to go down from like being almost up to 5. So I give this a C+, because it's a lot of money and it could turn out to be a disaster. This could be worse, but hey, I mean, they see his talent, so we'll see if Tyler Chatwood will produce. And so now wrapping up these pre-winter meeting offseason grades, we have Giancarlo Stanton being traded to the Yankees for Starlin Castro, Jorge Guzman, and Jose Devers. The Marlins basically got nickels on the dollar for Giancarlo Stanton, and so yeah, the Yankees get him, who's very similar to Aaron Judge. So for the Yankees, I gave this an A, a grade that I don't give out very often. And for the Marlins, I give this a D+, because I mean, the Yankees, this was probably the best possible situation when it comes to a trade for Giancarlo Stanton. You didn't have to give up guys like Clint Frazier or Gleyber Torres. So yeah, I mean, Marlins just basically giving him away, and Derek Jeter basically helping out his former team. And so those are my grades for the 2018 MLB Offseason moves pre-winter meetings. And so yeah, let me know what you guys think of some of these moves, and if I missed something that I probably shouldn't have missed, or that I probably shouldn't have glossed over, because I saw almost everything, but I glossed over, like I said, some of the waiver claims and some of the re-signings. So let me know, and we can have a discussion in the comment section, or just let me know if I probably missed something that I probably should have gotten. And so yeah, that will do it for this video, and let me know if you guys enjoyed it. I am RJ West, and I'm saying so long.